So what if the biggest thing holding you back from being happy wasn't your job or your relationships or anything out there, but a voice inside your own head? We're about to dive into a truly powerful idea from Eckhart Tolle, one that all started on a single desperate night with one very strange thought.
I cannot live with myself any longer. Just let that sink in for a second. This was the thought that was playing on a loop over and over in Eckhart Tolle's mind. He was just 29 years old, and this endless internal chatter was pushing him right to the brink.
And we're not just talking about a bad day or a rough patch here. For him, this was life. A constant, suffocating weight of anxiety and depression that made pretty much every moment feel like a struggle to just exist.
Then, one night, it all came to a head. He woke up with this feeling of absolute bone-deep dread, He just couldn't stand being himself anymore. The feeling was so intense, the desire to just stop existing, to be done with it all, was completely overwhelming. But then, right there, in the middle of all that darkness, something totally unexpected happened. That thought that had been tormenting him suddenly sparked a question that would change his life forever.
Think about how bizarre this question is. If I cannot live with myself, then wait a minute, does that mean there are two of me? Who is the I, and who is this self that the I can't stand to be with? And that's the split he suddenly saw so clearly. You've got the I on one side, that's the real you, the silent awareness, the one who's just watching. And then you have the self, that's the story your mind tells, the voice of unhappiness, the fiction. It's the voice in your head going, I'm a failure, versus the I that is simply aware of that voice. This realization was so profound, so completely out of left field, that it was like it short-circuited his brain. His mind just stopped. For the first time, probably in his entire life, there was just silence.
And what happens when the mind goes silent? Well, for Tolle, his entire world fell apart and was put back together in a completely new way. He was about to see reality for the very first time.
He describes this feeling of being pulled into a kind of internal void. And you'd think that would be terrifying, right? But some deeper consciousness inside him just said, resist nothing. And as he let go, all the fear he had carried his whole life, it just dissolved, gone.
The next morning, when he opened his eyes, it was like he was a newborn, seeing the world for the first time. The light coming through the window wasn't just light, it was alive, vibrant. He picked up a pencil on his desk and was just mesmerized by its existence. Everything, even the most simple thing, was an absolute miracle.
And this feeling wasn't just some brief high that faded after an hour. This state of incredible, deep peace lasted for 5 solid months. It wasn't just a temporary state, it became his new normal. Okay, so that's an incredible story. But what does it mean for the rest of us who haven't had that kind of dramatic awakening? Well, it points directly to the source of so much of our own everyday suffering. We hear the word enlightenment and we picture some kind of superhuman, mystical state. But Tolle likes to use the Buddha's much simpler definition. It's not about becoming godlike, it's simply the end of suffering. That's it. It's about getting back to our natural state of well-being. So what's the problem? What's causing the suffering? It's that nonstop chatter in our heads. It's like having a radio on, full blast, 24/7, and you don't even realize you have the power to turn it down. That constant noise is what keeps us from feeling the peace that's already there, underneath it all.
And here we get to the absolute core of it. We make one fundamental mistake. We believe that we are that voice in our head. We think those thoughts define who we are. But according to Tolle, that's the great delusion. Your mind is supposed to be a tool, an instrument. But for most of us, the instrument has taken over.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, this is all very interesting, but how do I actually do that? How do I find the off button for this crazy mind? Well, the good news is there's a really simple, practical way to start.
It all starts with step 1. Just start listening to that voice in your head. Really pay attention to it, especially the things it says over and over. Then, step 2, become the witness. Watch that voice like you're watching clouds in the sky. No judgment, no getting caught up in it, just observe. And then comes step 3, the magic moment. The second you realize, oh, there's the thought, and here I am watching it, you've done it. You've created a little gap of silence, of no mind. That's the beginning of freedom. And here's the best part. Every single time you create one of those gaps, you're taking power away from the compulsive mind. The light of your own awareness gets stronger.
Over time, those little gaps get longer and more frequent, and that deep sense of inner peace starts to become your reality.
Now, to really bring this all home, Tolle tells this wonderful little story. It's a parable that just perfectly captures this idea of a treasure that we all have, but almost never look for.
So picture this. There's a beggar, and for over 30 years, his entire adult life, he's been sitting on this old wooden box on the side of the road. Every day, he begs strangers for a little bit of money, completely oblivious to what he's sitting on.
One day, a stranger stops and says, "Excuse me, have you ever, looked inside that box you're sitting on?" The beggar just kind of scoffs. "Look inside? Why? It's just an old empty box. It's always been an old empty box." He's so sure, it's never even occurred to him to check. But the stranger insists. "Just look." So finally, maybe just to get rid of the guy, the beggar forces open the lid, and he is just completely speechless. The box, the uncomfortable old box he's been complaining about for decades, is absolutely filled to the brim with gold.
And of course, the point of the story is that we are that beggar. We spend our whole lives looking outside of ourselves for happiness, for a little bit of security or pleasure, all while we're sitting on this incredible inner treasure. And that treasure isn't gold. It's the joy of just being alive. It's that deep, unshakable peace that can't be bought or given. It's already right there, inside you.
So, this whole exploration really boils down to one simple personal question. You, me, every single one of us, we are sitting on that box. We have that treasure within us right now. The only question left to ask is, have you ever looked inside?